They thought they knew how to survive, until they met humans. Kalthor Prime. It was the most perilous planet in the entire galaxy, a place where one wrong step could mean instant death. Deadly acidic rains, searing radiation during the day, and temperatures plummeting below freezing at night. Every element of Kalthor Prime was hostile. And only the best-trained alien teams were sent on these types of missions, equipped with the galaxy's top survival technology. The Galactic Union had every tool imaginable to survive the harshest conditions the universe could throw at them. Or so they thought. This time, a small crew of humans was accompanying them on the expedition, and the alien team could hardly believe it. Humans? Kalthor Prime was no playground, and everyone knew humans were, well, softer, unrefined in their technology, and prone to strange behaviors. The alien team was skeptical from the start. As they approached the planet, aliens and humans alike went through their last rounds of preparation. Inside the alien vessel, advanced gears, reinforced armor, and high-powered survival equipment were meticulously laid out. Meanwhile, the humans' essentials were less imposing. Sleeping bags, tarps, and a small collection of food items they called camping snacks. The aliens chuckled in disbelief. Camping on a death world? This was not a planet where one camped. This was a planet where one survived. But humans seemed indifferent, smiling as they repacked their supplies. What awaited them on Kalthor Prime was a series of trials, some unimaginable even to seasoned explorers. Yet, as the alien team would soon find out, the humans' approach to survival was surprisingly effective, and it was about to challenge everything they thought they knew. The deadliest planet in the galaxy, Kalthor Prime. Just the name made the most seasoned explorers pause. Officially, it was classified as extreme hazard, a rating reserved for only the most perilous environments in the galaxy. With landscapes so lethal that only the elite dared venture there, Kalthor Prime was a planet designed by nature to repel life. Inside the briefing room of the Galactic Courage, the alien research team was going over their final preparations. The room hummed with anticipation as lead researcher Vrax, a tall, imposing alien with a gleaming exoskeletal suit, addressed his team. Vrax had led dozens of successful missions, but even he knew Kalthor Prime was different. "Let me remind you," Vrax began, his voice cool and precise, "that this mission will test us in ways no other mission has. Every factor, terrain, climate, atmospheric composition, is an active threat. Our success here will depend on flawless adherence to protocol and the most advanced technology available in the galaxy." The room was filled with an array of survival equipment that few outside this team had ever seen. Each piece of technology was meticulously crafted for extreme conditions: body suits that could withstand searing radiation, climate-regulating gear to keep body temperatures stable in sub-zero cold, and specialized masks that filtered the planet's toxic air. Around the room, the alien team members inspected their gear, adjusting pressure seals, checking energy levels, and recalibrating shields. Every step of the mission had been carefully planned and rehearsed. The Galactic Union demanded nothing less. Vrax's team knew that even a single deviation from their protocol could mean certain death, a surprising addition to the team. As Vrax went through the mission's safety protocols, one of the junior researchers, Riexi, raised a cautious tentacle, her head crest tilted in hesitation. "Lead researcher Vrax," she began, glancing at her fellow scientists, "I've heard rumors. Are we truly allowing humans to join this mission?" Vrax's mandibles clicked together in annoyance, a rare sign of emotion from the otherwise stoic leader. "Yes, humans will be accompanying us. They're part of the Galactic Union now, and their eagerness was taken into account." Around the room, murmurs of disbelief and suppressed chuckles rippled through the alien team. The Galactic Union's decision to include humans in this mission was, to put it mildly, controversial. "With respect, sir," another alien, Drick, added skeptically, "do they even have the proper survival training? Our technology is calibrated for Kalthor Prime's extreme conditions, and they—" He trailed off, unsure how to politely express his doubt. Riexi chimed in, The last time we encountered them at the Intergalactic Research Conference, they were drinking something they called coffee to stay alert. Coffee. They couldn't even make it through the sessions without a stimulant. What if they can't handle Kalthor Prime without constant refueling? Vrax raised a clawed hand for silence. Yes, humans have unconventional methods, but they have been briefed, and they assured the Union they're prepared. This is an opportunity for us to observe their approach, which I admit is very different from ours. Preparations and skepticism. The alien team continued their preparations, some murmuring about the primitive tools humans were rumored to bring. The idea that humans, a species known for their reliance on strange, often simplistic tools, would face the trials of Kalthor Prime without advanced equipment baffled them. It bordered on reckless, if not outright foolish. Riexi, studying her holographic notes, voiced what many were thinking. I've read their records. Apparently they survive on other planets using nothing more than tents and fire. Imagine, using fire as a heat source, Vrax responded with a faint, skeptical chuckle. Let them bring their primitive tools. We shall see how long they last. As the final adjustments were made to their equipment, the alien team couldn't shake their skepticism. To them, the idea of relying on tents and fire, tools from a bygone era, was ludicrous. Even more absurd was the notion that humans, a species without natural armor or innate resistance to extreme temperatures, thought they could survive Kalthor Prime with nothing but enthusiasm and camping gear. The alien perspective on humanity. While the aliens had grown used to humans' presence in the Galactic Union, they still found themselves puzzled by the species' quirks. Humans were unpredictable, their behavior often straddling the line between bravery and folly. They solved problems in ways that defied logic and protocol, a concept almost offensive to a species that revered order and precision. Vrax addressed the group one last time. I know some of you have your doubts, but the humans have earned their place here, if only through persistence. Their methods may be crude, but they are resilient. Riexi muttered, resilience is not enough to survive Kalthor Prime. The arrival of the humans. A buzz filled the air as the team prepared to meet the humans in the main docking bay. As the heavy doors slid open, the alien team stood in formation, a wall of sleek, armored figures with glistening equipment designed for survival in the deadliest environment known to the galaxy. In stark contrast, 3 humans strolled in with casual, easygoing smiles. One wore a colorful scarf, another was carrying a large backpack with what looked like snack wrappers poking out of the sides, and the third was holding a small metal canister. The humans' attire lacked the reinforced layers or advanced tech the aliens deemed essential. Instead, they wore lightweight jackets, cargo pants, and a relaxed confidence that made no sense in the context of the deadly mission ahead. Vrax eyed the canister curiously, his voice laced with sarcasm. Welcome, humans. Is that specialized hydration equipment? The human, Kelly, grinned, unscrewing the top of the canister. This? Oh no, it's just coffee. Want some? The alien team exchanged glances of disbelief. Humans and their coffee. As they watched the humans nonchalantly sip their drinks, seemingly oblivious to the dangers awaiting them, one thing was clear. Kalthor Prime was about to test not only survival skills, but also the limits of alien patience. The first meeting. The humans strolled into the docking bay of the Galactic Courage with a calm, almost casual demeanor. To the alien crew, their appearance was astonishingly underwhelming. Where the aliens' survival gear glinted with reinforced plating and high-tech survival systems, the humans' attire looked almost quaint. Kelly, the apparent leader of the humans, wore a durable jacket, rugged pants, and a scarf wrapped casually around her neck, an odd choice on a mission that required a full-body armor suit in their view. Her fellow humans, Jack and Luis, were similarly outfitted in rugged, practical clothing, each with backpacks that appeared far too light for survival on Kalthor Prime. The human team exuded an air of calm as they set down their bags, apparently oblivious to the gravity of the mission ahead. As they unpacked their supplies, the alien team members could only stare, exchanging bewildered glances as the humans pulled out what looked like small bags of snacks, rolled-up tents, and sleeping bags. Alien curiosity meets human casualness. Riexi, unable to hold back her curiosity any longer, approached Kelly. Her crest arched in what the humans might interpret as confusion, but to the alien team, it was a signal of sheer disbelief. "Excuse me, human Kelly," Riexi began, her voice wavering with polite disbelief. "Where is your armor? Your atmospheric shield? Surely you don't mean to camp on Kalthor Prime with these supplies?" Kelly, midway through unwrapping what looked like a sandwich, looked up with a smile. "Armor, we're all set. We've got everything we need right here." She patted her backpack confidently. "And trust me, a good tarp and some sturdy tents can handle most conditions." Riexi's eyes narrowed, her expression a mix of shock and concern. She turned to Drick, who had joined her, and whispered, "Did she just say, a tarp?" Drick nodded, his mandibles twitching in horror. "They're planning to survive on Kalthor Prime, with fabric." Alien responses escalate. Vrax, who had been watching the exchange, approached, his authoritative presence demanding respect. "Humans," he began, his voice betraying the skepticism he struggled to contain. "Are you aware that Kalthor Prime is not a typical planet? It is, by all standards, inhospitable to life." Jack, one of the other humans, shrugged. "Oh, we're aware, but that's half the fun, right?" He pulled out a small bag and offered its contents to Riexi, who recoiled slightly. "Marshmallow?" he asked cheerfully, popping one into his mouth. The alien team watched in silent astonishment as Jack chewed on the strange, fluffy object. Riexi glanced at Kelly, her confusion obvious. Is this marshmallow a part of your nutritional sustenance protocol?" Kelly laughed, offering another marshmallow to Riexi. No, it's for s'mores. We make them over a campfire. You'll see tonight." "Campfire?" Rexy echoed, her voice laden with shock. "You intend to use fire as a source of heat on Kalthor Prime?" Kelly nodded as if this were the most natural thing in the world. "It's all part of the experience." She turned back to her supplies, inspecting a bag of what the aliens would later learn were graham crackers. Alien bewilderment deepens. The alien team was floored. Fire, marshmallows, tents. In all their years of training, they had never heard of anything so bizarre. Their shock grew as they watched the humans' preparations continue, the aliens practically frozen in place by the sheer absurdity of it all. Vrax, barely able to contain his skepticism, turned to Drick. "Is this some sort of ritualistic display? A test of bravery?" Drick shook his head, his mandibles clattering in alarm. "It appears they genuinely believe this will be sufficient." Rixi's voice was a whisper of disbelief. "Do they not understand the danger?" She looked around at her fellow aliens, a silent question in her eyes. How could any species be so casual about something so deadly? The human's explanation. Sensing the tension, Kelly stopped and turned to the aliens, smiling warmly. "Look, I know it might seem strange. We humans just approach things a little differently. Sure, you've got high-tech equipment, but sometimes simple is better." She gestured to her team's primitive supplies. "You see, humans have been camping in dangerous environments for centuries. It's part of our history. We know how to set up shelter, make a fire, keep warm, and cook food in almost any condition. Kalthor Prime? Sure, it's a challenge, but that's what makes it fun." The alien team watched her in stunned silence. Her words seemed genuine, but the concept was nearly incomprehensible. To them, this was madness, wrapped in casual language. Alien leader's decision. Vrax took a deep breath, his posture tense but controlled. "Very well, humans," he said, a note of challenge in his voice. "Proceed as you see fit, but understand that we will not be held responsible for the consequences of your methods." Kelly gave him a confident nod. "We wouldn't have it any other way." She picked up her backpack and led her team toward the shuttle, calling back over her shoulder, "Just wait until you try s'mores tonight." Vrax watched them go, turning to his team with an exasperated sigh. "Prepare for every possible outcome. The humans may be creative, but their survival is in their hands." The mission begins. As the humans and aliens boarded the landing vessel together, each species contemplating the adventure ahead, the difference between their approaches couldn't have been clearer. The aliens clung to their strict protocols, every move calculated, every piece of equipment checked and double-checked. The humans, meanwhile, joked and chatted among themselves, discussing where to pitch their tents and what snacks they'd eat first. The alien team sat in silent anticipation, steeling themselves for Kalthor Prime's brutal trials. They had no idea what was coming, but one thing was certain. Whatever happened next, it was sure to be unlike any mission they had ever faced. Arrival and first night on Kalthor Prime. The shuttle touched down on the rugged, barren surface of Kalthor Prime, and the door hissed open to reveal a world that was almost alien to itself. Jagged rock formations cast ominous shadows under a dark purple sky, and fierce winds carried the scent of sulfur and rust. The planet's surface was as treacherous as it was breathtaking, with razor-sharp crystal spires and patches of acid-scorched ground that gleamed under the sparse starlight. As the crew stepped off the shuttle, the alien team activated their climate-controlled suits, with shields that pulsed faintly as they deflected the biting wind. The humans, however, adjusted their scarves and zipped up their jackets, as if they were preparing for a chilly evening rather than a life-threatening excursion. Vrax took a deep breath, watching as the humans unloaded their camping gear and began setting up their tents. His team, meanwhile, busied themselves with assembling an energy dome, a complex device that would create a protected, climate-regulated zone for the aliens to take shelter in. "Humans," Vrax called out, unable to hold back his concern any longer. "Are you certain that these fabric shelters will suffice against Kalthor Prime's environment?" Kelly looked over from where she was securing a tent pole, grinning. "Oh yeah, this baby's been through worse. We've camped in some pretty rough places, trust me." Vrax watched in silent disbelief as the humans continued their setup. He exchanged a glance with Riexi, whose face plates were tilted in an expression of doubt bordering on horror. The first storm. Nightfall came swiftly, and with it, the temperatures plummeted. The alien team activated their dome, basking in the warm, even air of their carefully controlled environment. The humans, however, built a roaring fire, sitting around it as they warmed their hands and began roasting marshmallows. To the aliens, it was as if the humans were performing some strange, reckless ritual. Riexi, her curiosity getting the best of her, approached Kelly, who was toasting a marshmallow on a stick. "I don't understand," Riexi said, glancing nervously at the fire. Is this necessary?" Kelly chuckled, handing Riexi a marshmallow on a skewer. "Oh, it's all part of the experience. You roast it over the fire and then squish it between these crackers and chocolate. It's called a s'more." Riexi held the skewer awkwardly, glancing back at Vrax, who was watching from the safety of the dome. She turned back to Kelly, her voice laced with polite confusion. "But you could burn yourself, and why not use a heat generator? Surely it's safer." Kelly shrugged. "Sure, but where's the fun in that? We've been making campfires for centuries. Trust me, you'll love it." As Riexi hesitantly tried the s'more, her expression shifted from confusion to surprise, and she chewed thoughtfully, perhaps for the first time appreciating something uniquely human: acid rain and human improvisation. Just as the humans were finishing their campfire ritual, dark clouds gathered above them, and a heavy, toxic rain began to fall. The alien team scrambled, activating their dome's acid-resistant shields, which crackled as they deflected the deadly rain. The humans, however, seemed unfazed. Kelly and Jack moved quickly, pulling a thick tarp over their tents and securing it with ropes and stakes. The rain sizzled as it hit the tarp, but the humans worked with practiced ease, sealing themselves in their makeshift shelter with what the aliens could only assume was a complete disregard for personal safety. Vrax, watching in astonishment from within the dome, shook his head. "Unbelievable. They are sheltering themselves, with fabric." Riexi, who had been observing from the dome's edge, murmured, "And yet it seems to be working." As the rainstorm passed, the humans emerged from under their tarp, giving each other high fives and laughing about the crazy weather. To the aliens, it was as if the humans were completely oblivious to the deadly conditions. Vrax couldn't help but feel a mix of frustration and grudging respect, a test of endurance. The following day, the sun rose with an intensity that turned the barren landscape into an oven. The alien team activated their cooling systems, adjusting the suit regulators to handle the extreme heat. The humans, meanwhile, adjusted their hats, applied what they called sunscreen, and shrugged off the blistering heat with remarkable resilience. At midday, the temperature became nearly unbearable, even with the alien suits at full capacity. Some of the alien team members began to show signs of heat exhaustion, their systems struggling to maintain safe internal temperatures. The humans, however, appeared unaffected, even pulling out metal canisters filled with ice-cold water that they drank from with evident satisfaction. Riexi, visibly wilting from the heat, approached Kelly. How are you managing this temperature without a climate-controlled suit?" Kelly handed her a canister. "Hydration and a little adaptation. Just takes some getting used to." She gave a reassuring smile. "Humans evolved in some pretty extreme climates, you know. We're tough." Riexi took a tentative sip, her expression shifting from exhaustion to relief. The cool water seemed like a miracle in the searing heat, facing an unseen threat. Later that afternoon, an alarm went off on the alien team's equipment. A low rumble echoed through the landscape, and suddenly, from beneath the ground, strange crystalline creatures began to emerge, their razor-sharp limbs glinting in the harsh light. The alien team, reacting on instinct, scrambled to activate their defensive shields, raising barriers of energy to keep the creatures at bay. But the humans, to the aliens' horror, didn't flee. Instead, they took shelter behind a rock formation, observing the creatures with what seemed to be curiosity. "Look at them go," Jack whispered, nudging Kelly. "I bet they're just as scared of us as we are of them." Kelly nodded, grinning. "Probably. They're just protecting their territory." Riexi, horrified, called out from within the dome, "Humans, what are you doing? Those creatures are hostile." Kelly turned to her, shaking her head. "They're only defending their space. As long as we don't provoke them, we're fine." Alien shock at human tactics. The alien team watched in shock as the humans, using only basic strategies like concealment and cautious observation, managed to avoid any direct confrontation with the creatures. The aliens, huddled behind their shields, could hardly believe what they were witnessing. Vrax, shaking his head, muttered, "They're coexisting with the local wildlife? This planet is lethal, and yet they treat it as if it's a mere inconvenience." Riexi, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke. "Perhaps there's something to their methods. It's unconventional, but it seems effective." Vrax scowled, unwilling to admit that the humans might actually be handling Kalthor Prime's challenges better than his own team. But a part of him couldn't help but wonder if there was a lesson hidden within the humans' strange ways. The night's final challenge. That night, as the humans gathered around their fire once more, another storm loomed on the horizon, this one carrying a massive sandstorm. The alien team, frantic, reconfigured their dome shields, bracing for impact. But Kelly and her team took immediate action, using stakes, ropes, and tarps to anchor their tents against the wind. As the sandstorm hit, the humans hunkered down, their makeshift shelter buffeted by the violent winds. Through the storm, the aliens watched in awe, seeing the humans' tents holding fast even as the wind screamed across the landscape. Inside the dome, Vrax sat in silence, watching the human shadows cast against the blowing sand. They were surviving, adapting, enduring, without the Union's advanced technology. He had never seen anything like it. By the time the storm subsided, the alien team was exhausted, their energy reserves drained. The humans, however, emerged from their tents, brushing off the sand and stretching, laughing about the adventure. It was as if they had merely survived a fun camping trip. Vrax approached Kelly, unable to hide his amazement. "You humans? You faced Kalthor Prime with fabric and fire, and yet here you are, unscathed." Kelly grinned. "What can I say? Sometimes simple is all you need." Morning after the storm. The dawn broke over Kalthor Prime, illuminating a rugged landscape scarred by the previous night's sandstorm. The alien team emerged from the shelter of their energy dome, blinking in the harsh morning light. Exhaustion weighed heavily on them. The storm had drained their energy reserves and taxed their technology to the limit. Meanwhile, the humans were already packing up their campsite, laughing and chatting as they stowed away their tents and tarps. Despite the previous night's ordeal, they moved with ease, unaffected by what the aliens had found nearly catastrophic. Watching the humans, Vrax felt a strange mix of emotions he couldn't quite identify. A part of him wanted to dismiss the humans' methods as reckless and primitive, but another part was beginning to question. How could they face such intense conditions with only the most basic of tools and still emerge unscathed? As the humans gathered around their small cooking setup, Vrax finally approached them, his curiosity overcoming his skepticism. "Kelly," he began cautiously, "you managed to survive the sandstorm without shields, without atmospheric controls. How?" Kelly looked up, smiling as if the answer was obvious. "We just anchored ourselves down. Look, I get it. Our gear might seem primitive, but survival's about adapting, right? We humans have been doing this kind of thing for thousands of years. When things get rough, we make do with what we have." Alien doubts and reflections. Vrax processed her words in silence. To him and his team, survival had always been about precision and control, relying on the most advanced technology available. But the humans seemed to thrive by embracing unpredictability, working with their environment rather than against it. Riexi, standing nearby, finally spoke up, her voice a mixture of doubt and respect. "Human Kelly, do you not fear this planet? You lack the technology we depend on, yet you act as if these conditions are inconsequential." Kelly chuckled, shaking her head. "Fear's natural, Riexi. But we've learned that fear doesn't help much in a survival situation. Adaptation does. And you'd be surprised how much strength you find when you have to rely on your own wits and whatever you can carry." Riexi stared at her, clearly struggling to grasp the concept. Fear had always been managed through layers of preparation and technology. For her species, survival was synonymous with control. Yet these humans, they were teaching her a different kind of resilience, a growing admiration. Over the next few days, the alien team observed the humans closely, their initial amusement giving way to genuine interest. Every time a new challenge arose, the humans adapted with an ingenuity that defied logic and protocol. They used simple tools to solve problems that the aliens would have addressed with complex systems, handling each situation with a calm confidence that was both perplexing and inspiring. When a series of small seismic tremors shook the campsite, the alien team immediately retreated to their dome, activating structural stabilizers and initiating a full lockdown procedure. The humans, on the other hand, simply secured their belongings and continued their activities with minimal disruption, seeming almost unfazed by the ground shifting beneath their feet. Vrax, watching from the dome's observation portal, shook his head in disbelief. He couldn't help but admire their casual bravery, even if it seemed reckless. Perhaps the humans possessed a wisdom his team had overlooked. The humans' philosophy. One evening, as the two teams sat together around the humans' campfire, Vrax finally asked the question that had been building within him since the start of the mission. "Kelly, I must know, is there some guiding principle that allows you humans to approach such hostile environments with such ease? You adapt, you improvise, yet you survive. What drives this resilience?" Kelly thought for a moment, poking the fire with a stick as she considered her answer. "I guess it's just part of who we are. Humans have always faced challenges, from harsh climates to wild animals. Over time, we learn to adapt. If we don't have what we need, we figure out how to make do. It's all about flexibility, creativity, and, well, sometimes just sheer stubbornness." Jack, another human, nodded in agreement. "We're good at rolling with the punches. The way we see it, you can't control everything. So instead, you learn to work with whatever's around you. Sometimes that means building a shelter from rocks. Other times it means using a tarp when you'd rather have a high-tech shield." The alien team listened in silence, their minds wrestling with this strange, almost contradictory philosophy. Their entire survival approach was built on mastery over the environment, on using technology to bend the world to their needs. The idea of adapting to an environment rather than controlling it was unsettling, yet there was a simplicity to it that resonated deeply. Alien reflections on human resilience. That night, as Vrax lay within the safety of the energy dome, he found himself unable to sleep. The human's words echoed in his mind. What if they had been overcomplicating things all along? What if survival wasn't about absolute control, but about learning to let go of it? The idea felt almost radical. Yet, hadn't the humans proven its effectiveness time and again? Vrax wasn't the only one feeling this existential crisis. Drick, one of the more rigid members of the team, approached Vrax the next morning, his usual stoicism replaced by a hint of awe. "Lead researcher Vrax," he began hesitantly, "I have been observing the humans. Their methods are strange, but they have succeeded where our protocols might have failed. Perhaps there is wisdom in their simplicity." Vrax nodded slowly, feeling a reluctant agreement forming within him. "Indeed, Drick, their methods defy our logic, yet they work. They possess a resilience that I cannot fully comprehend, and perhaps that is why they are still here." Human strengths reframe alien weaknesses. Over the next few days, the alien team found themselves subtly incorporating aspects of the humans' approach. Riexi, who had initially dismissed the humans' techniques as primitive, found herself securing her equipment with basic tools rather than relying on complex locking mechanisms. When an unexpected acid geyser erupted nearby, the team used simple stone barriers to shield themselves, rather than activating their energy-intensive shields. Each adjustment felt almost liberating. Vrax realized that he had come to respect the humans, not just for their resilience, but for the adaptability that lay at its core. They had taught him and his team a new way of looking at survival, one that wasn't defined by the technology they possessed, but by their own capacity to face the unknown. A shift in perspective. By the end of the mission, the alien team had begun to embrace a new mindset. Though their technology remained a vital part of their approach, they now saw it as a tool to be used alongside adaptability, rather than as a shield against every threat. On the final night, as the humans prepared their last campfire, Vrax approached Kelly, a newfound respect in his eyes. "Kelly," he said quietly, "you and your team have shown us that survival is more than preparation and protocol. It is resilience, and that is something we had not fully understood." Kelly smiled, her eyes warm with understanding. "Well, we're always happy to share a few tricks. Survival isn't about perfection. It's about rolling with the punches and finding strength in the unexpected. Kalthor Prime's tough, but so are we." Vrax bowed his head slightly, feeling humbled yet inspired. He knew that this mission would change not only his own approach to survival, but perhaps even the Galactic Union's protocols as well. As he looked around at his team, he saw that same realization dawning on each of them. They had learned something priceless from these humans, something that no amount of technology could replicate. The final challenge. The last day of the mission began like any other on Kalthor Prime, an eerie, red-tinted sunrise casting long shadows over a harsh, unforgiving landscape. But as the alien and human teams packed up their equipment for one final survey of the area, a low rumble began to echo across the terrain. The ground trembled, sending loose rocks skittering down the nearby cliffs. "Seismic activity?" Vrax muttered, checking his instruments with a frown. The readings were unusual, stronger and more unpredictable than anything they'd encountered so far. Kelly, observing the tremors with a calm that had come to characterize the humans, glanced at Vrax. "It feels like something big is shifting. We should be ready to move." Before Vrax could respond, the ground beneath them gave way with a thunderous crack. A massive sinkhole opened up, swallowing their campsite and sending both teams tumbling down into a cavernous, dark abyss. The descent was chaotic, with debris and loose rocks cascading alongside them as they fell, landing hard on the cavern floor below, a world beneath the surface. As the dust settled, the alien and human teams struggled to their feet, coughing and blinking in the dim red-tinged light filtering through cracks above. They found themselves in a vast, subterranean chamber, the walls glistening with strange, bioluminescent minerals casting eerie shadows. Vrax assessed their situation quickly. "Is everyone unharmed?" he called, his tone betraying his alarm. His team responded with affirmatives, though their voices wavered with a mix of fear and awe at the unknown space around them. Jack, one of the humans, looked around, eyes gleaming with excitement. "Whoa, this place is amazing, like something out of a sci-fi movie." Drick, dusting himself off and eyeing Jack with disbelief, muttered, "A movie is not what concerns us right now." Kelly, however, was focused. "All right, everyone, we don't know what's down here, and we don't know how stable this cavern is. Let's stick together, move carefully, and find a way out." The alien team watched in silent amazement as the humans immediately took charge of the situation, their adaptability kicking in with a smoothness that almost looked like second nature. Vrax felt a pang of respect, mingled with the growing sense that he was witnessing something extraordinary, strange creatures in the darkness. Strange creatures in. As the group moved cautiously through the cavern, the ground trembled again, and strange, insect-like creatures began to emerge from the shadows, their carapaces glowing faintly as they skittered across the rocky floor. Their eyes gleamed as they studied the intruders, mandibles clicking in a low, rhythmic pattern that sent a shiver down Riexi's spine. Vrax activated his team's energy shields, the low hum of the protective barriers offering a small measure of comfort. "We don't know what these creatures are, or if they're hostile," he whispered, his eyes fixed on the approaching swarm. The humans, however, stayed calm. Kelly observed the creatures with curiosity, noting their cautious movements. "Let's not provoke them," she said softly. "They might just be curious." Jack, taking her lead, crouched down and held out his hand, palm open, in a gesture of peace. "Easy there, little guys. We're just passing through." To the alien team's astonishment, the creatures paused, their glowing eyes studying the humans, with what seemed to be curiosity rather than aggression. Slowly they retreated back into the shadows, leaving the group unharmed. Rixie, wide-eyed, whispered to Vrax. They responded to the humans, as if they understood. Vrax nodded slowly. "Perhaps their presence is less threatening than ours. They have a way of adapting, even here." An unstable path forward. The cavern floor began to slope upward, leading to a narrow, jagged path that appeared to spiral toward the surface. The group moved carefully, navigating the treacherous terrain as the walls shuddered with intermittent tremors. The ground seemed to shift beneath their feet, forcing them to cling to the walls to maintain their balance. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the chamber as part of the path gave way, leaving a sheer drop that separated the humans and aliens from their only exit. The chasm was too wide to jump, and with each tremor, the path grew increasingly unstable. Vrax's heart pounded as he surveyed the gap. "Our technology can't bridge this distance. The equipment's power is nearly depleted from last night's storm." Kelly stepped forward, her eyes scanning the area with a thoughtful expression. "No problem, we'll rig up a crossing." She turned to Jack and Luis, nodding. "Remember that climbing rope we packed?" As her team set to work, the aliens looked on in disbelief. Using only a few lengths of rope and some spare equipment, the humans constructed a makeshift bridge across the chasm, securing it with anchors driven deep into the rock. The crossing. Vrax looked at the makeshift bridge, his gaze skeptical. "You intend for us to cross this?" Kelly grinned. "It's safe. We've done this kind of thing before. Just trust the rope and take it one step at a time." The alien team exchanged hesitant glances. Rexy took a deep breath, gripping the rope as she stepped onto the bridge, her hands shaking but her resolve firm. To her surprise, the bridge held, and soon the entire team was crossing, their nerves gradually giving way to confidence. As Vrax took his turn, carefully gripping the rope and inching across, he felt a strange surge of trust, not just in the human skills, but in their willingness to help. They had saved his team with nothing more than creativity, confidence, and simple materials, a test of unity. Halfway across the bridge, a powerful tremor shook the cavern, loosening stones from the ceiling that crashed down around them. A large chunk of debris struck one of the humans' anchor points, causing the bridge to sag and sway dangerously. "Hold on!" Kelly shouted, gripping the rope tightly as she worked to stabilize the structure. The aliens clung to the ropes, their fear evident as the bridge creaked and shifted beneath them. Vrax felt his instinct scream for him to retreat, to abandon the risky crossing. But as he looked back at the humans, he saw only determination and calm. Kelly was already climbing toward the damaged anchor, reinforcing it with another length of rope, while Jack and Louise steadied the bridge. "We've got this," Kelly called, her voice steady and reassuring. "Just hang in there." Her words sent a jolt of courage through Vrax. Ignoring his fear, he tightened his grip and continued forward, his mind whirling with admiration for these humans who seemed almost to defy fear itself. Reaching the surface. After what felt like an eternity, the group finally reached solid ground, pulling themselves up onto the narrow ledge that led to the surface. As they emerged into the open air, they were greeted by the harsh, yet familiar landscape of Kalthor Prime, a sight that felt almost like safety after the ordeal in the cavern. Vrax, still catching his breath, turned to Kelly, his voice laced with a humility he had never shown before. "Your methods, they saved us. I cannot deny it any longer. You humans possess a strength that our protocols and technology could not provide." Kelly smiled, brushing the dust off her hands. "We're all in this together, Vrax. That's the thing about survival. You adapt, you trust each other, and you push forward, no matter what." A new understanding. As the alien and human teams gathered their bearings, Vrax felt an undeniable shift in his understanding of survival. The humans had shown him that there was more to resilience than technology, more to adaptability than protocol. They had taught him the value of unity, trust, and courage, the strength to face the unknown together, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. Drick, one of the more skeptical aliens, approached Vrax, his voice soft with newfound respect. "Perhaps we should incorporate some of their methods into our own practices. It seems there is much we can learn." Vrax nodded, feeling a profound sense of agreement. "Indeed, from now on we will approach survival with a blend of our technology and their spirit. They have shown us that sometimes the simplest solutions hold the most power." Kelly looked over at Vrax as if sensing his thoughts, and offered a hand. "Ready to head back?" she asked with a grin. Vrax hesitated for only a moment before clasping her hand, feeling a strange sense of kinship with this human who had taught him so much. "Yes, human Kelly, lead the way." The long walk back. The journey back to the Galactic Courage was quiet, each member of the alien team lost in thought. They followed the humans through the rough terrain, and though the threat of Kalthor Prime loomed around them, the mood was unexpectedly calm. Vrax found himself reflecting on the mission, on how much had changed in the course of a few days, and on how the humans had challenged everything he thought he knew about survival. Kelly walked alongside him, and after a few moments she broke the silence. "So, Vrax, what do you think? Still think we're a bunch of reckless adventurers?" Vrax hesitated, then shook his head. "You are indeed adventurers, but reckless no longer seems appropriate. Your methods, they are different, yes, yet they work. You adapt, even in situations where our technology would be insufficient. I respect that." Kelly gave him a warm smile. "Thanks, Vrax. I think we learned a lot from you, too. Your team's precision and expertise are something to admire. Just maybe next time, don't be afraid to think outside the box." Mutual respect. As the teams finally reached the ship, the alien crew looked visibly relieved to be back in familiar territory. The Galactic Courage's sleek, sterile corridors seemed almost comforting after the chaos of Kalthor Prime. But something about the humans' presence now felt equally comforting, a surprising new sense of camaraderie that had grown through their shared survival. Riexi, who had been among the most skeptical of the humans, approached Kelly, her crest raised in a gesture of respect. "Human Kelly," she began, her tone hesitant but sincere. I am grateful. You showed us another way, perhaps a way we had overlooked." Kelly placed a reassuring hand on Riexi's shoulder. "Hey, you aliens aren't so bad yourselves." "I think we made a pretty good team," Riexi smiled, a gesture almost foreign to her species, yet somehow natural in that moment. The rest of the alien team nodded in agreement, each recognizing the humans' contribution in their own way. An unexpected debriefing. Back aboard the ship, both teams gathered in the debriefing room to log their findings and report on the mission. As Vrax recounted the events, he found himself repeatedly crediting the humans for their ingenuity, resilience, and adaptability. "It was through the humans' improvisational methods," Vrax stated, "that we were able to overcome numerous unforeseen obstacles. Their techniques, though unorthodox, proved effective and enlightening. The other aliens in the room listened, visibly surprised by Vrax's admission. The humans exchanged proud glances, grateful for the acknowledgement. As Vrax finished, Drick raised a hand. "Lead researcher Vrax, perhaps we should consider implementing some of these human techniques into our protocols for future missions." Vrax nodded, feeling a surge of pride in his team's openness to change. "Yes, Drick, I believe we should. Kalthor Prime taught us that survival is not solely about control or the tools we bring. It's about adaptability, teamwork, and at times, improvisation." Kelly leaned forward, grinning. "And don't forget the marshmallows. I'm telling you, every survival kit should have them." The room erupted in laughter, the lingering tension of the mission finally dissolving into camaraderie. For the first time, the humans and aliens felt like one team, united by a shared experience that had bridged their differences. A parting gesture. As the humans prepared to depart, Kelly approached Vrax one last time. She held out a small bag of supplies, a thoughtful smile on her face. "Here," she said, handing him the bag. "A little something for you guys to remember us by." Vrax opened the bag and found a few essential human items: rolls of duct tape, a mini toolkit, and a small sealed bag of marshmallows. He looked at her, his mandibles clicking in a rare expression of alien amusement. "Human Kelly, I am honored." "Hey, you never know when a little duct tape might come in handy," Kelly replied with a wink. Vrax's gaze softened. "Indeed. And perhaps the next time we encounter a survival challenge, we will think like humans." A new perspective. As the humans left, Vrax and his team watched them go, their hearts heavy with an unexpected mix of pride and humility. The humans had not only survived Kalthor Prime, they had done so with a grace and courage that inspired respect. Vrax realized that their worlds were not so different after all, and he felt a renewed sense of purpose as he considered what they could learn from each other. Turning to his team, Vrax spoke quietly but firmly. "This mission has taught us a valuable lesson. From now on, we will combine our technology with the resilience we witnessed in the humans. We will adapt." Riexi nodded, her eyes gleaming with newfound resolve. "Yes, lead researcher. And perhaps the next time we face the unknown, we'll bring a few of these simple tools with us." Back on Earth. Months later, reports of the mission on Kalthor Prime filtered back to Earth, where it quickly became a story of legend. In alien circles, the humans earned a new reputation as the resilient ones, a term reserved for those who could face the unthinkable and emerge victorious. And for the aliens, every mission briefing thereafter included a new line in their survival manuals. If facing insurmountable odds, remember to stay calm, adapt, and consider the human way. A new directive from the Galactic Union. Months after the mission to Kalthor Prime, the Galactic Union's survival protocols were revised, marking a significant shift in their approach. For the first time, the protocols included techniques inspired by human practices, officially designated as adaptive survival strategies. Among the additions were guidelines on makeshift shelters, improvisational problem-solving, and a line that puzzled many alien researchers. In extreme environments, consult a human for field-tested solutions. The change was met with mixed reactions across the Union. Some alien scientists scoffed, finding it hard to believe that duct tape and campfires could be as effective as plasma shields and force fields. But those who had served on Kalthor Prime, those who had watched the humans in action, knew better. They had seen resilience in its purest form and understood that sometimes survival meant thinking beyond the boundaries of their advanced technology. Vrax's reflection. For Vrax, the mission had left a lasting impact, and he carried the memories of those days with him like a badge of honor. In his quarters aboard the Galactic Courage, he kept the small bag of human supplies Kelly had given him, a reminder of the strength that lay in simplicity. The mini toolkit, the duct tape, and the bag of marshmallows sat on a shelf next to his most prized research awards, a symbol of the hard-earned respect he'd developed for his human allies. Occasionally, Vrax found himself mulling over the mission's events, wondering how his life and the Union itself might have been different if not for that encounter. The humans had changed him in ways he hadn't anticipated, broadening his understanding of resilience and adaptability. And perhaps, he mused, they had changed the Union as well. A galactic invitation. One day, as Vrax reviewed data in his lab, a message arrived from the Union's Central Command. It was a formal request for humans to assist in future exploratory missions on hostile planets, specifically as consultants on adaptive field tactics. The Union was officially inviting humans to join the elite ranks of survival experts, recognizing their unique approach to danger and problem-solving. Smiling to himself, Vrax forwarded the message to Kelly with a brief note. It appears the Union has learned to appreciate marshmallows and duct tape after all. Not long after, a reply pinged back from Kelly. Happy to help any time, Vrax, just let us know where to bring the s'mores. A legacy of resilience. Across the galaxy, the story of the mission to Kalthor Prime became a source of inspiration. The humans were known as the species who thrived in the face of unpredictability, who could turn a death world into a camping trip, and who, when given nothing more than simple tools, could still find a way to survive. Alien scientists and researchers alike now held a newfound respect for Earth's strange, yet effective methods, and young cadets were taught not only to revere technology, but to trust their own instincts and creativity. The Galactic Union established a new motto in their survival training programs, an homage to their unexpected allies: adapt, endure, and always consider the human way. And every new recruit learned that, in the face of the unknown, sometimes the strongest tool was not technology, but the will to survive and a little bit of ingenuity, the beginning of a new alliance. And so the humans and aliens continued to work together, each mission a blend of advanced tech and old-fashioned grit. They ventured into the galaxy's harshest worlds as one team, stronger for their differences and united by a shared respect. On the next mission, as the team prepared to face another unknown planet, Vrax smiled as he watched Kelly pull out her usual supply of marshmallows and duct tape. This time, he held out his own roll of tape in solidarity, ready to face whatever came next, the human way.